What's good, world? Peace, world, as I usually start out. Look, my name is Wood. Just getting home from work late. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Gonna get into some bite down boxing talk. You see from the title, Terence Crawford was on the Barak show on SiriusXM's Fight Nation channel earlier today. I was doing my afternoon Wood thing on Canelo and Callum Smith on that fight being announced, and I heard the end of the Bud interview, and I was excited that that Bud went out there and did that and hollered at those guys, and it was the type of interview that I thought that he needed. The crazy thing is that he didn't think to do this interview, that he didn't think to go on SiriusXM and on the Barak show before the fight. And they have a great relationship. I mean, it was kind of a love fest. They obviously have a relationship that goes back before, a while ago. That's one, before I even get into some of these remarks that Bud made, I really don't understand why people hate on Barak. It's almost like brothers hate on them like they aren't real boxing people, despite the fact that I fought as an amateur, or fought as an amateur as a young kid, and Barak has competed in not MMA but jiu-jitsu, combat. He's competed in combat sports tournaments and whatnot, and they have one of the best networks. Period. They're networking. Their connections. They can get everybody on there. So I really don't understand. But that's what we do though. That's what the family does in not supporting other people, and especially other people who do things with a certain standard or on a certain platform. You got to tear them down, disregard them, hate them, discredit them, whatever. Which brings me to another topic before I get into the Bud comments. This whole new media thing, and I'm not talking about the person who claims to have coined that phrase or created that brand or that banner or whatever. I'm not really talking about him in particular. I'm just talking about the folks running around screaming new media and how new media is the way to go, and old media is trash, blah blah blah, whatever. The standards of some of the stuff that I see on YouTube, and especially in the boxing community, the standards that I see are trash, straight up. Not to mention the number of channels that just flagrantly lie or say stuff so biased that I don't even understand how people continue to rock with them. But I click on the video the other day, a very popular channel, somebody getting 25,000, 15,000 views per video, and 300 comments, 75 likes. I click on the video because it says something about Brian Custer and Terence Crawford when Terence Crawford was on the Last Stand, Brian Custer's podcast on here, and the brother just had the audio from Brian Custer's interview with Bud, and even has Brian Custer in the damn video. In the audio on his video. And that's being pawned off as this other channel's content. And then you got people in the chat talking about, brother, your channel is fired. Your channel is taken off. Blah, some other stuff. How do you rip another man's content and claim it as your own Don't even credit that man for his hard work, his networking, his connections, his everything that he's accomplished, his reputation in this mess, in this game. How do you do that? And then go around and we screaming new media. What the hell is new media? If it's old or new, it should be some honor in it. It should be some credit given to properly given to where you get your content from. I'm gonna just go rip this from Brian Custer and put it on my channel the same as him. That's why I'm not putting the Bud Crawford comments that I'm getting ready to make from the Arum Barak show. That's why I'm not putting the audio on here. For one, I pay for SiriusXM. So what would I sit here and record that whole conversation and then come put it on my channel and let everybody else hear it for free? What sense does that make? Now, I'm gonna come back. I might come back later on and put some snippets on here because you don't want to hear me talking. I see the people jumping off, after 15 seconds now. So I'm cool with that. But I might put some snippets on here and then I'll credit Arum Barak for their interview because everybody can't get Bud Crawford. Everybody can't get Terence Crawford on the phone because he doesn't really do media. But this interview that I'm getting ready to make, share some of the statements from Bud on, it's one of the best interviews that he's gonna do. It's one of the most candid appearances that Bud Crawford is gonna make. I thought it was an excellent interview, despite the fact that they obviously, like I said, they have a relationship with him. They've been in person with him and shot pool and played basketball with him. They have a lengthy relationship. I saw that. That's cool. But all the personality that they're saying that the critics are saying, and even a Bob Arum is saying that Terence Crawford doesn't have, all of that came out on this interview. For those of you that like to hear him talk shit, like to hear him cuss, he was dropping the F-bomb, MF. He was talking trash about whose ass he whipped. He was talking his shit. If that's what you like, I don't really need that. But for the people that say he needs to do that, he needs to have an edge, he needs to be street, he did all that over there. So I would urge you to go check it out, or go. They might put it on their Instagram page. They cut some of this up into snippets and put it on their Instagram page. Some of it goes on the DAZN YouTube channel. They might even have their own channel. But what I'm gonna get into, it's about 5 comments that I saw that stood out to me. The whole interview was basically in response to Bob Arum coming out and saying what the statements that he made about he's losing money on Bud, all the money that he spent on Bud. He could have built a house in Beverly Hills. He was telling him that he needs to go promote the way the others have done, a Pacquiao, a Mayweather, a Lopez, a Shakur Stevenson. What else did Bob say? Bob was he was vocal. He went in. And when Terence Crawford first got on the phone, he wanted to go in too. And he said, let me talk about this shit. And he was disappointed in what he heard. He felt disrespected. He said a couple of things, but then he kind of pulled back and was like, I ain't gonna really talk about it how I really feel. He said, but I'm gonna give y'all some things, but he was like, for him, he would prefer for things to stay behind closed doors. But what you can hear from his conversation, the major thing that I took away from this interview was the fact that Bud really has paid attention to the missteps that Top Rank and Bob Arum have made with his last several fights. He is aware of it. And he's contacted them and bugged them about these things. And I guess that's why he sent the paperwork, the letter to Top Rank, a couple weeks ago to make, I guess maybe to formally air out his grievances. But what he did say was some of the history. He said that he took a pay cut to fight Victor Postol. That was in July of 2016. And he said Top Rank told him that they didn't want to go to pay-per-view with that matchup because they said that nobody knew who Victor Postol was. And, Bud insisted that he wanted to go to pay-per-view and not going to pay-per-view. He said he kind of alluded to or hinted at the fact that he had to take a pay cut for the Postol fight. Now, in that situation right there, can you really argue with Top Rank? Can you really argue with them for saying that Postol wasn't, that he wasn't a good name for pay-per-view? I wouldn't have bought that fight. I wouldn't have paid to see Crawford against Postol. I wouldn't have coughed up anything for that. But that's one situation that he mentioned. But when he said recently, he said the reason why when this pandemic started, he said he wasn't he wasn't taking any pay cuts now. He said on a couple of different interviews, he said he wasn't taking a pay cut now because of the pay cuts that he took in the past. And so this is one of those. Another thing that he called out, and he said, for those that want to hear him curse and talk shit, he said something about he agreed to go on to take less money to face Postol because he looked at it for himself. He knew what he was going to do to Postol. So he said, I'm going to beat all these MFers' asses anyway, so I'll make the money up down the line. So he went along with it. Another thing that he said, the second thing was Top Rank didn't promote him right going into the fight with Amir Khan. Because Loma and Crolla were a week earlier. And Bud was pissed off because going into the fight with Crolla, he said from what he noticed and the text messages and the friends contacting him, he said that he was told that Loma, that fight was everywhere. He said it was even on Hulu. When he opened up his Hulu app, an ad for Lomachenko and Crolla was on there. He said it was even on the PS, whatever PlayStation was out at that time, it was on there. He said his stuff wasn't nowhere. So he said he texted Brad Jacobs of Top Rank, and he said he still has the text messages that he sent, and they just told him basically, he said he was pissed off because people didn't even know how to purchase. They didn't even know how to buy the fight. They didn't even know how to watch the fight a week out from the event. Now, I'll tell you this. I was listening to At the Fights Monday night on SiriusXM on the Fight Nation. It was a brother that calls in every week. His name is Randy from Atlanta. That's the reason I know his name. He calls in every Monday and Friday night when the show is on. This brother knows Aaron Pryor. It's an older dude. He might be in his mid-60s. Randy from Atlanta this Monday night said that he actually paid $20 for a subscription to DAZN because he thought Terence Crawford was fighting on DAZN against Kell Brook. That's what I'm saying, where I don't really, this is why I don't do a whole lot, and I don't care to be popular on here. I don't mess around with too many chat rooms. This is why I'm off social media. And now I know that, and I just said the dude was probably in his late 50s, early 60s, but how is it that hard for somebody to know where Terence Crawford, anybody, I mean, you watching boxing, you listening to this show every Monday and Friday night. You think at some point in time that the host of the show didn't say this Friday or this Saturday night on ESPN? You got people publishing press releases. You got Boxing Scene that everybody goes to. You got everything that was on ESPN for a week and a half, for a week. And this man went out and gave $20. He went out and gave $20. He don't have no son. No grandkids, he ain't talked to nobody. He went and gave DAZN $20 to watch Bud Crawford fight Kell Brook. That don't make any sense. That don't make any sense. Anyway, I guess this weekend he can watch Conor Ben and Sebastian Formella, for his $19. But anyway, Bud said that his fight wasn't promoted properly, and he got at them and was upset. Now, that was then, but later in this call earlier tonight, Bud also confirmed what I said earlier or last night. Bud confirmed that in the Coppinger article on The Athletic, in like the second paragraph last week, Coppinger said that Bud did not return the contract, or Top Rank and ESPN did not have the deal finalized between Terence Crawford and Kell Brook until the telecast or the broadcast had started for Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez. That's when Bud Crawford sent the signed contract back to Arum / Top Rank / ESPN. So now we get, like I said in my other video, we get out here arguing amongst each other about how well or how poorly he's promoted by Top Rank. How can you promote the man and he sends the confirmation during the telecast of the last big event before his fight? So you shot yourself in the foot in that instance. So how did that really help you out? Now, we all know now that they've done the best number. The numbers came out yesterday, 2 million or whatever, 2.07 or whatever it was, blah, blah, blah. It was a 2-hour show. Lomachenko and Lopez had a higher average, or they had a comparable average, but it was almost a 6-hour broadcast. However you want to parse that up, whatever. But I'm just saying, there's some give and take here. And Bud also, one of the last things that he said was that when he was asked about, well, after this tirade from Bob, will you, and being disrespected so publicly, will you be leaving Top Rank? He said, nah, not necessarily. He said, we're going through a little thing right here. And he said, we're going to figure this out. And we'll get past this and we'll move forward. He said, that's my promoter right now. Let me get into the next thing that he said. After all of this and being pissed off and huffing and puffing and saying that he was disrespected, using some curse words and everything, and being pissed off and letting it be known that he didn't like the way this was publicized, he said, but Bob is a really good dude. He said, man, he's a really, really, really good dude. Dana White just called a man an effing scumbag. Somebody else, Eddie Hearn, just called him brutally honest. But he said, he said, hold up though. He said, I can't sit here and say nothing bad about Top Rank because they helped me achieve everything that I've achieved to this point. He said he's a really, really good dude who happened to just disrespect me while we were on air, and then, with Mike Coppinger or Lance Pugmire, one of them cats. The next thing that he said was, that I wrote down was, he said after they played the audio, Arum Barak, they played the audio of Dana White talking about or responding to somebody who had asked him what he thought about Bob Arum disrespecting Terence Crawford, the Lance Pugmire comments. And after the audio was over, it came back, and Terence Crawford, he was laughing. He was like, I F with Dana. He said, I F with Dana. He said, yeah, he know what he's talking about. And then right after that was when he came back and said, but Bob is a really good dude. So it's all over the place. Another thing, I just mentioned that, so I ain't got to go back through that. So they got to asking him about, well, what's next with the fight? How do you get to the Errol Spence Jr. fight? And he said, they asked him, do you think that you need him for your legacy? And he said, nah. He said, I don't need him at all. Let me let my dog in. He said, nah. He said, he doubled down on that. He said that, Errol Spence Jr. needs me. And this is where I know I'm not the biggest full-on Deontay Wilder fan, but me and Deontay Wilder agree a whole lot with one thing that he recently. A lot of these guys just want to make money. They don't really want to fight nobody. They just want money. They just want money from the fans. I agree with Deontay Wilder wholeheartedly on that. But the fact is this, keep it in a buck, Wilder fought a hard fight and accepted a tough fight in Tyson Fury because he had the leverage in that situation. He came back and fought him in the rematch because I'm just gonna clean him up. It's gonna be round 13. I understand that Errol Spence Jr. does not need, like I just said with Deontay Wilder, he needed a dance partner. And he got one in Tyson Fury versus having to defer a little bit to the other side and go along with Anthony Joshua. He went in a direction where he was still the boss in that situation. I understand that Errol Spence Jr. does not need Terence Crawford. He doesn't really need Terence Crawford for the next year, maybe next year plus. He just doesn't. And that's why that fight doesn't go anywhere. For Terence, and then Terence Crawford, another thing that he broke down before he got off of the show was he talked through why this Kell Brook victory really cements him as a welterweight, because he said the man was 100%. And he said you can look at what I did to him, and you can look at how the fight went down between Spence and Brook, and he was like, you can see the difference in the results. So he was like, I don't need to fight him. I think though, I'm gonna go back to Deontay Wilder. Like, you got a dude in your weight class with all of the accolades that Bud has accomplished. It just seems like an impressive fight to go and get on your resume. And I say this with the caveat that I really don't even know what to make of. I really can't focus too hard on this fight, Spence and Crawford, right now, because I don't even know what Errol Spence Jr. is. I really don't even know what to expect December 5th. If he comes out there and looks the way we've always known him to look, and if he's victorious, or if he was to stop Danny Garcia, or if he was to decisively beat him, then we get back to what we've been on. But we just don't know. I'm not seeing anything. I'm off social media, so I can't. But I haven't seen anything about any sparring. I guess yesterday they had like an open gym for Errol Spence or something. I didn't even watch it. But that's pretty much it. That was all of the pretty much the big comments that Bud made. Like I said, I might go down here and get some of the audio and put it on here. But again, man, like I said, I don't understand some of these channels. The one channel that I was just talking about with Brian Custer and taking his material. This is where I really question the intelligence of some people. But how do you steal Brian Custer's voice and Terence Crawford? How do you steal all of that? Why wouldn't you just go and why wouldn't you do the smart thing and add and say the question that Brian Custer asked, and then play the audio of Terence Crawford? Why wouldn't you at least do that? But how you just take a man's material and put it on your own channel like it's yours? I don't get that. So, like I said, I might come back and I might come back on here and put another video up with some snippets of Terence Crawford, so you can hear from him that I didn't make none of this up. But again, like I said, that's their program. I gotta pay a subscription to to get that. Why would I come on here and just play the whole interview for y'all? What good does that do for anybody? But I'll see which one was the the best snippet to take. I'll try to get that up later on tonight. Like I said, for those of you that have SiriusXM, if you can go check it out on demand, you can pull it up on there, the entire thing, and the way that they have the segments broken down, you can go right to you can actually click on Terence Crawford's name and hear it right there. So that's if you have it and you missed it. But again, man, I think I don't have to hate those brothers. I don't know what the problem is with giving Ak and Barak credit and accepting them as a major plus for the sport of boxing and the coverage of boxing. I think for them to be on Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 o'clock, they got top ranked guys on there. They got PBC guys on there. They have DAZN people on there. They do a weekly thing now that they've started a weekly thing with Eddie Hearn. Bob Arum's been on there. Of course, nobody from the PBC. They've had some Golden Boy fighters on there. Like I said, I think it's great. They've had women boxers on there. I think it's a plus for the sport, and should be looked at as such. But that's just my own 2 cents. Other than that, man, let me get on off of here. Bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Peace.